So the magic of YouTube, we'll call it, that we're able to do a 2-hour live stream at your house, your channel, Toby, the Toby the Adventurer, newly branded, highly motivated YouTuber, up and coming, owner of the Cumberland Mountains. And we jumped from your channel to this channel, which was poorly branded from the beginning. However, the title of this video, did you notice what the title is?
Aliens on Mount LeConte.
Because, Toby, there's money to be made and viewers to be gained in the world of just shtick. I'm telling you, we are missing it. We're trying to make real videos. We're working hard, making real videos, informative videos, sharing our thoughts, sharing all of those things about ourselves in the mountains of Appalachia, whatever, however you want to call it. And yet,
Oopaloopa.
I make one video, Toby, because I need your input on this. I make one video and I call a road spooky.
Spooky.
I call a road Bigfootish, Junior, Bigfootish.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I give some factual information about that area. It gets 300,000 views, right? It's give or take. I think it's 300,000 last time I checked.
It was crazy.
Well, it's crazy. And the comments, though, if I were to somehow rank comments, let's call, I don't know, we'll just make it real binary. One's good, two's bad, and three's average. I don't know. There are more negative comments than positive. I'm just saying. Now, the like, it's not like it's been ratioed with likes, but people clicked on it. And it was a throwaway video. And Toby, you and I talk about this. Some videos have to be throwaway videos because you and I are not world travelers all the time. We just got finished talking about this. We actually have jobs. We have real life and all that stuff. And we're family men. And yet we try to make videos sometimes because it's time to get a video out. You're hurting for an idea. Or maybe your Cades Cove trip was ruined by rain and you go down a road because really you're trying to get out of there faster. True story. And you make a spooky road video about spooky. Not scary. Spooky. Spooky's like, yeah, cheesy. You mess with the filters a little bit, and what happens? People have problems. Why did people have so many? They didn't like what I said about the Civil War. They were nitpicking about that. And it was like the Civil War because you had some people that didn't like the fact that I quoted the people in the Cove that called the rebels radical. But then you had Union people saying that I glossed over that kind of stuff. I mean, Toby, what did I do wrong? Tell me, man. Or did I do something right?
Right. Yeah, that's the question. First of all, as we talk about aliens, how did we switch sides?
I have no idea, and it's messing me up, isn't it you?
It is messing me up so much. This is like a bad episode of the X-Files. Don't change anything. Leave it alone. But that already just started out creeping me out a little bit. But that aside, I don't know.
But I mean, think about it. You and I both, I've got an imagination. If I could get by with it spiritually, and you and I both, we share views there, I would write shtick because it's easy. It's really easy for me. The Alien, Bigfoot, X-Files, man, I could make those videos.
We also need to include abandoned. That seems to be huge.
Okay, talk to me. What is that? What is that all about?
I went to Greenway Farms, which you're very familiar with. That's a local city in Chattanooga State Park.
Yeah.
Not state park. It's a local city park. Anyway, they have an old rock quarry where they built the Chickamauga Dam from the limestone.
Okay.
Abandoned rock quarry with the chiller, creepy looking letters. That did about 2 or 3x what my normal videos do because it was abandoned. It was scary. It was creepy. And the same thing. I mean, with your, that wasn't a terrible video. It was
pretty bad. It's not a great video, but it made a lot of money. I mean,
thousands of views, and you made a lot of money. You probably bought Christmas and stuff with it. Like, you can't hate that.
I would say, here's what I would say with the money. What was our last trip? Carol and I went somewhere. I would say that it paid for 40% And you'd have to ask Carolyn because I get confused about, but I think 40% of our New England trip, if you added it all up, and it's still making money. But it's tempting because we know why people clicked on that video. Now, why they stayed, hey, I'm not a bad YouTube creator, right? You know, the watch time on that video is remarkable. It's not bad. You know, it's above average for YouTube.
Yeah. By the way, technically, over in the comments, if you ever want to pin somebody's interaction.
Oh, yeah. Teach me that.
Just click on like what?
Oh, that's cool. Project Blue Book. Oh, see, and I know all about this stuff. I watch Alex Jones. Listen, folks, I know he's kooky, but it's good television. Come on. It's entertainment. That's how you got to look at all this stuff these days. You can't it's hard for me to take the world seriously right now. It's hard. It's like a big circus. I used to be so political. And so I thought I knew so much. And then 2016 happened. And then it got nuts. It was like, no, I'm not even being political, Toby. I'm not. Don't think I'm going there. My channel isn't political. Your channel isn't political. But the world got weird. And it has stayed there. And so now I'm like, that's what it feels like watching stuff. But yeah, we could take our channels.
Interaction is what fuels the algorithm. So you talked about the people arguing with you, whether it was the Civil War video or whether it was the spookiest road. I think that's what drove it up. Now, why the watch time or average watch time was high, there had to be some entertaining content there. It had to be both.
Oh, yeah. Well, and there are techniques that you learn to do to try to continue getting them to bite from, you know, I don't always succeed at that, but there's a trick there to get people to stay watching. I'm just saying I'm not saying we do this because it's unethical.
Yeah.
Okay. It's dishonest. And what I learned early in making faux conspiracy videos, the one about the Federal Reserve, I think YouTube chilled it. It had 24,000 views and it just stopped. It was one of those mysterious, like it's hidden, you know, it's there. And I've even tried to reshare it, but it was actually pro Federal Reserve. It really was by the end of the video, because a lot of people picked up on that about like, hey, has it really hurt your life that bad? It's actually made things a lot better, you know. Yeah. It's kept them, you know, I could go, hello, I show track. Hey, that's a DJ, right? DJ, is it you?
So you just unclick the comment that's on the screen if you want to pull that down.
That's DJ, if I'm not mistaken. You remember DJ? He's moved and he has a great channel right now, and he comes up on the thing. Yes, that's DJ. But no, we could, like LeConte, you stay the night up there, you bring the and I could stage a UFO. You know, I don't mean like anything grand. You sneak a drone in, right? You put some Christmas, you put Christmas lights on the drone. It's blurry, and you talk about how vast the Smoky Mountains are. And there's just rumors that there are hidden bases in the Smokies from the Cold War era. I could write this script right now, just off the top of my head. And you could go there, but they won't let you. And then you show those trails that we saw where they're growing over in the national park. That's why the national park's not letting you go down that trail.
Because of all the things that are down there.
The aliens like it there, Toby.
Well,
Bigfoot likes it there. Oh, DJ said conspiracy night. That would be awesome.
That would be awesome. And I don't mind doing that tongue in cheek, but
I don't want my friends knowing that I'm talking.
We've talked about this in the last hour. There are things we could do to blow up our channels. I shared with you recently. I just got fully monetized on Facebook.
Excellent.
There are political things I could put on there that would get so many interactions. And do you know I get paid for everybody who like interacts with that content in any way? But I'm not going to do that. That isn't. I have political views. I have views on my relationship with God, but that's not the right format for that. And I'm not going to do that just to make money, clicks to bring up the algorithm. It's not who I am.
It's hard. There's some things I love talking about. That would be fun. Unfortunately, it's not branded on our channel.
Yeah.
So, but there are things, Junior brought up Project Blue Book, and there are things that you see, whether it's Appalachian Trail, all over the Appalachian Mountains, where you're like, you could hide things in plain sight right there. And we know that's how I've been on a military base where things were hidden in plain sight right by the interstate. I'll tell you where it was, because the base is closed now. It's Bluegrass Army Depot. Look it up. It's a chemical weapons facility in Richmond, Richmond, Kentucky. And it was a great, there was a golf course there and a munitions factory. I mean, it was really a little high-speed base there. After September 11th, they had to shut it down. We augmented their security force for a while. But all the missiles, they were just out there in the pasture by the cows, thousands of it. And so you're like, if they'll do that, they could hide anything just right there by the interstate. And most of the time we wouldn't see it. You're not looking for it, right? So how much more could they do in the back? That kind of stuff is fun. The problem is
fun. And there's a comment that, if the channel or pages focus on that, like, absolutely, but we don't, right?
You're exactly. And the temptation would be to flip it to that. I know Junior brought up the Cumberland Gap secret base. They closed, and I don't know what you're thinking when you say that, Junior. I got to practice doing what you told me to do there. There you go. The Cumberland Gap, I made a video. One of my first videos to explode was about the Cumberland Gap. I don't know if you ever watched that video. Oh, it's cringe. And it's 30 minutes long. The watch time is unbelievable. I mean, it was the first one to go boom. And most of it is me rambling. I'm just stream of conscious like this. But I'm spewing facts, okay? Don't get me wrong. I mean, I know my stuff, but I'm just trying to get people to watch my channel. It's my first year of YouTubing, or first 18 months. They've closed off a lot of the Cumberland Gap that really isn't accessible. Like this whole area that it's returning to nature or whatever. But Lord, the conspiracies. And there's the Cumberland Gap Tunnel, one of the greatest tunnels ever built, that goes under that area. There's debate as to whether it should have been built. Why was it built? And there are so many conspiracies around it that it's tied to Oak Ridge nuclear facility in, Oak Ridge up the road here, Toby, and that there's a tunnel system that leads. I mean, I could go on and on. It gets nuts. The comments of that video when it came out, when it started blowing up, it was half and half. It was people making fun of me and the conspiracy, and the other half was people adding their 2 cents to the conspiracy. And that taught me the first lesson that people take, believe it or not, a lot of people take what you have to say seriously on here. Like they take the whole thing was supposed to be satire. I was making fun of conspiracies. I really was, even though I believe in a lot of them. Okay. But not the weird crazies, but the stuff that's not really conspiracy. It's just how life is, just how the government works. But people were taking the underground tunnels and whatever it was. I can't remember what's in the video, but it's like it fueled there. And then you start thinking about the people that work at that facility, how they hear that stuff all the time. And I've created a video that makes their job harder.
Yeah.
And I don't, you start going, oh man, I don't want to do that. That wasn't the intention of that. So I started being more careful, matter of fact, because I'd made that video, I made a video about von Braun that I took off. Father of the space age, this rocket or whatever that I removed from YouTube. We'll talk about that off the channel. There's some things in there that I recognized before 2016 when everything went weird. I recognized were controversial, and I just didn't feel good about it. I thought, you can see that 3 ways, and I was torn on some of it, so I took it off. But the video about the Federal Reserve was made during that same, because we went to Jekyll Island. There's an opportunity. The hotels there, they commemorate the secrecy of it and all this. This is easy. This is low-hanging fruit. And it was for a minute, and then it got shut down because that conversation is associated with some real ugly stuff. Some stuff that I don't agree with, anti-Semitism and stuff like that, that I find disgusting. So, but that video is staying up, though, because I like the video. My kids are in it, and they're still... Anna has just left for college, but Anna or Crystal and Nathan, they're still at home. It's just a very special moment right before we went to pastor. They didn't know we were leaving right away, So I don't know, just sharing the idea of how easy it would be to flip this channel or your channel, because we're in the woods all the time. The woods can be spooky, and how easy it would be to embellish certain aspects. When we went to Allen Cave, what's the first thing that we saw there? What is that called? The arch?
The cave or the passageway?
The passageway, which I found more impressive. Allen Cave's impressive, but I
don't remember the name of that particular feature.
It was fascinating.
Incredible.
It was fascinating. But you could make that so scary talking about it, playing some music in the background and entertain.
Or go there at sunset when the sun's on the other side of the mountain, perhaps.
Or why not at night?
Yeah, or even at night, right?
Flashlights, a couple of, a couple of people with some green and red so that you can get some effect anyway. But the point being, I made a video about UFOs where I was kind of making fun of the cult of UFOs. Again, I'm not even trying to get into whether UAPs are real or not real. That's not for this, maybe later. But I'm not going to get into how the government fakes UFOs. But the video, that one was, I don't know if it was hidden or it's just too cheesy, but I have a fake UFO, like where I've done something to make it look like something is flying through the woods. It's bad. It's terrible. But the point I was trying to make is how easy it is to capture someone's attention saying, it's a UFO and putting the music, the shaky cam. It's like nobody can hold their camera still when they're filming this UFO or whatever. You ever notice that? So I don't know. DJ said, unless your channel or page focuses on that, which you had made his comment, one day I'll take a trip to Area 51. Toby, do you think the government has a right? I'm asking for a friend. Do you think the government has a right to say you're not allowed to see what we're cooking in here?
I have no opinion on that I'm going to share.
Okay, well, I'm going to share. I'll share my opinion. Here's.
What are you trying to do to me? I'm an outdoor hiking, and
I just lost two people on this. Two people left, and they're like, "I'm out.
I'm out of here."
I'm going to share my opinion. Somebody made that comment because when the Area 51 thing was going on, do you remember that? All these people flocked out to Area 51 and they were going to rush. I'm like, you're in the desert. It's hot. And they have authorization to shoot. And I've only been on one base where I served on same Bluegrass Armory Depot, where you had authorization if they passed certain to fire. There was, it wasn't that simple, but most bases, you don't have that, but certain limited areas. But in the chemical limited area where the VX and DG, all that stuff was stored, you had authorization because there was no reason. You had to purposely be back there to be back there. Area 51, the whole thing is pretty much we can take you out and kill you. But these people are morons, and they're like, I don't know how many hundreds, and they were going to rush into Area 51 and find out what's there. It's a huge, huge base. I'm like, you guys are idiots. But I made the statement of something like, it's probably best for our national security that they're allowed to say, you can't go here. There are some things you shouldn't see. It's not for you, but it is for you because it's for your defense. And you have to trust in that moment. It's a John Locke thing where I think he was the one that said this. You have to give up a little bit of your freedom to get security. And isn't that the wrestling match that we have? You give up, how much freedom are you willing to give up for security, right? That's the real debate.
Well, so we saw that in 2000, of course, and that was an experiment in our republic form of government, because we're not a democracy. We're based on 50 states, and we got to see that in real time. Even here in Tennessee, county by county. The county I live in, the park's closed. The county north of me, they didn't. And we spent a lot of our time in the county north of me during that time, and that we both lost people during that time. So I'm not on that conspiracy theory or any of those things. But why do you think people are so hungry for this type of content that we're not making tonight? We're just discussing tonight.
Yeah. You want me to really answer that question, or are we just being?
That's up to you.
Because you and I both. Well, you. Oh yeah, we changed channels. Never mind. No, I'm kidding. I think you know where I'm going with this. I think deep inside that people are craving a spiritual connection.
Yeah.
But we have been mesmerized and blinded by science, which by its very nature, and I love science, guys. I'm a science guy. But we've been blinded by the limited knowledge that science seems to provide, and we fail to remember that science changes every so many years, and even some of the things that we call science isn't science, geology. And we're craving that connection to the unknown. But like it says in Romans 1 and Romans two, we have this issue of wanting to reject the creator because we end up, and I say we, I mean people outside of the faith, they end up worshiping the creator, the creation more than the creator. And so the universe, space, physics, and the dynamics of the stars and the moon becomes more interesting. What's out there becomes more fascinating than what God can do in here.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why there's this. And listen, I love science fiction. Science fiction's done a great job. You know, I taught a class at Abba's house about Christian and science fiction. You bought me a book, which I do. You remember that you bought me a films book? And I use that still. It's a great book because of watching what happened in the 1950s, late 1940s into the 1950s, where science fiction, they were moral stories. They almost had one in particular had a messianic message in it. It was fascinating, and there were morals and principles. There was almost a judgment and salvation message in those movies made early in the 50s. And then a change happened, and it started. I traced it, in my opinion, it started with Kubrick's amazing film. It is.
Mm-hmm.
It's great cinema. It's Space Odyssey 2001, where Kubrick invented a new god essentially, which was, the alien, the unknown, those out there.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, everybody's interpreted that movie different. I'm not going to try to do that here. But from then on, science fiction, and I'm not counting Star Wars in that, folks. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. That is really space fantasy. It's not, it's fantasy set. It's a Western set in space. It's not really science fiction. Star Trek is what you would label as science fiction. So the science in science fiction became the new God, for the world that has rejected Jehovah and the resurrection of Christ. That's my opinion. And, every time I say something like that, you watch the viewer count drop. Because it's an obvious statement of faith that says, hey, this is the real me. And the real me, who Bill Marion really is, will tell you at the drop of the hat, is that if your hope is in humanity and in science, and as much as I love nature and the outdoors, and we make those videos, one day all of the mountains that I have visited will bow before God.
Yeah.
And he loves us so much that he gave his very essence, his son, to die for us in our place, because we are imperfect in front of a holy God. We are so imperfect, but he said, you know what? I will bear this for you. And he sent Christ to die and defeat death. And he was resurrected on our behalf. That's who Bill really is. So I love what God's created. I love science, but I always remember, I think I said this, or you said it when we were on LeConte, which was, one day this mountain is going to bow. Is that a literal bow, or is it just because the new city of Jerusalem is going to be, okay, I don't know. But what it means is that all of the mountains, Pikes Peak, the Rockies, the Himalayas, all of them will fail to compare to his glory and grandeur. And that's fascinating to me. It's just like, wow. Because I know how much you love the outdoors. You know how much I love the outdoors. But imagine his glory is here on this earth, and it will be so profound that everything that we have found glorious about the depths of the ocean or the heights of peaks and mountains will fail to compare. And I didn't even mean to go there, but you asked a question, and that's the answer. We are searching for something. That's what society's doing. Please give us some answers. And the answer has been right in front of them for 2,000, really more, but 2,000 years.
Awesome.
George Foreman, I didn't mean to hog the conversation there. I apologize. Let me ask you this, because you love Star Trek. I love Star Trek. You watch Strange New Worlds, right? The new series.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they haven't released a new episode in a while.
That comes out in May, if I'm not mistaken. Because I wasn't going to watch that. You got me into that. And what I've noticed with science fiction over the past few years, it's Strange New Worlds, Discovery, the whole Star Trek genre that's been kind of hijacked, is it's more of a social, maybe it's always been this, but it's more of a social commentary, and they go out of their way to be, I'll call it anti-God. Maybe you can help me there, describe that situation. But they're just, they go all out to be mean-spirited towards belief. Or the generic Star Trek starring what's his name from Family Guy. I mean, that one's the worst. I won't watch it. I mean, he's a funny guy. Don't get me wrong. You know what I'm talking about? What's the name of that?
Kirk?
No, it's there's a generic Star Trek starring the guy that developed Family Guy. I'm just drawing a blank. Junior Foreman says, Jesus is the reason for the hope that is in me. Amen. Junior, that's all we got. But it's a lot. It's empowering. You know, I couldn't do that. One of the very reasons I've shared this on a live stream before, and you alluded to this, and I thought you were going to call me out on your stream earlier, is what started me making videos to begin with. Because you were talking about using what's in your hand, using what's around you to make videos. Is I was praying, I'm like, God, I want to express my creativity. Help me figure things out. I would have never considered YouTube. And I was holding my phone in my hand when I'm kind of having this meditation prayer or whatever. And I just felt overwhelming sense of what he told Moses, which is use what's in your hand. Because Moses wanted to stay. Moses like, don't send me to Pharaoh. He was terrified. And God said, he said, you got to give me something. And God says, use what's in your hand. And it was a staff.
Yeah.
And it's not like the staff was magic. God just gave him something to use that, because it's really all God, right? And so I was holding my phone, and all I could think of, well, I'll make a YouTube video. I mean, it was that simple, and that has helped me so much.
There's a couple comments I don't know if you want to address or not.
I do not have the Bible memorized. Drippin' Woody says, can you explain 2 Kings 2:23 and 24, please? Okay.
Let's see if that's something
we'll come back to it. And yes, we have to keep secrets, national security. Yeah, Jerry, you said something on Toby's stream about you hauled aluminum coils on Route 23 in Kentucky. We never came back to that. What was that all about? If you don't care to comment, like, it was aluminum coils. Because I would be thinking Alcoa. Was that your run? Like, I was just curious. Kentucky, by the way, in those old coal mines, if you're going to talk conspiracy, I wonder what's hidden. Boy, we lost a lot of viewers on that little rant I just did, huh? Because we were up to like 10 or 11 or 12, and you start talking about Jesus and people run, but because, they want to see mountains and everything else. But when you confront them with the truth, it's scary. It's scary to think that the answers are right here in front of you. But anyway, sorry, I digress. I lost my train of thought. Help me out.
Yeah, I was trying, since we were talking about aliens and Bigfoot a minute ago, I have some evidence, and I know you were having trouble on my live stream, so I'm going to drop.
Oh, you got something?
Maybe.
Okay.
Let's see what happens. I'll come right back if this.
Oh, goodness. I did something wrong. Oh, I lost you for a second, Toby. Say it again.
Yeah, I dropped off of your stage. I was trying to.
I hit a button. Me.
Add some evidence, and I don't have the right administrative settings to do that. So I'll do it this way instead.
Okay.
I hope everybody enjoys this.
Did you add that picture?
I did.
Okay. So a while ago, were you seeing what I was throwing up there or no?
No.
Okay, that's weird. All right, go ahead.
All right, that's what I was trying to do, and I found another. So there's one evidence of some kind of, I don't know what that is.
That's a trail. Where are you talking about? The picture of me?
Yeah.
You moron.
And there's another picture. Try that.
That is the let me remove this one. I guess I don't have that. Oh, well, maybe I do right here. That horrid backpack. But hey, it was a good place to hang my coat, right? I mean, that's a part of. You're supposed to be able to put the sleeping bag up there, and then with and then you hook whatever else you need to it. So it shall not go with me on another hiking trip. That's not overnight. It shall not go. Kaiser aluminum coils to Russellville, Kentucky. Why can't? Do you know, Junior? Did you run into Patterson Trucking a lot? If you don't care, Patterson Trucking, didn't know if you hauled around them, knew anybody that worked for Patterson out of there, or G&M Oil there in Barberville. Good people. Strong's Adventures. Did I hit the wrong button again, Toby?
I took it down.
Oh, okay. Billy says, dang, I go inside to talk to Rhonda, came back out of the garage and all the other folks left. What did y'all do? Buddy, we talked about Jesus. And I'm telling you, man, you've seen this before. Here's another one, Toby, that was in that time period where we just had this awesome community that we got away from. But Billy was another one that just great guy. I'm dying to go down to Louisiana and hang out with him and Rhonda. They're just good people. Yeah, we talk. You've heard me say this before, like back in the day when we were doing Vlogmas. You start talking about Jesus, it makes people uncomfortable because they're having to face that decision, that question, that either it's inconvenient to them or the reality of do you believe or not is just uncomfortable. And we didn't even mean to go there. Toby asked me a question that I had to, I mean, he served me a softball, really. I'm like, Toby must be wanting me to minister right now. Here's your softball, Bill. So that's the way it went. But you know, what kind of a coward Christian would I be if I answered that question any other way than what is truth? And, you know, and I think there are too many Christians today. We're getting stronger. I will say this, we're in a season where Christians are getting more bold. And I'm glad to be a part of that movement with love, by the way, not being jerks. I'm talking about with love. But there was this season where people were they were cowards. They tried to ease into it. I love it that DJ said, I'm really enjoying this. And DJ is actually one of the moderators. I don't think I've got him set up here with the stream, whatever this is called, StreamYard. But if I was just straight up doing the YouTube thing, live streaming, he's actually still one of the moderators on the channel. He does a great job. When it comes to Patterson Trucking, he said he don't remember any. He hauled freight for J.L. McCoy. Yeah, I guess I'm just being nostalgic about East Kentucky and trying to see if you knew any of the people I knew there. You know what I'm saying? Like, because that area, it's a big area from Corbin to Pikeville, but somehow everybody's connected there. You know, everybody's related. You could accidentally marry your cousin there. And I have a lot of family there. I'm just saying, I have a lot of family there. And there was always that thing in Barberville that I was like, I got to watch who I date and make sure I know their family tree. I'm not kidding. I'm being honest. You know, you're like, hey, who are you related to? Because those are small communities. The Marion side of the family back in the late 1800s is where they settled in that area, bought thousands of acres. And then over the years, they just kind of settled and stayed there. Most of them moved to Michigan during the second Great Migration of the 50s or late 40s and moved north. But because of the interstate systems, it was different than the first migration of the early 20th century where Southerners moved north for work but stayed and kind of lost ties with their Southern heritage. They became Northerners. But in the second migration, there was a road network and interstates were coming. And so that connection remained, which helped birth the snowbird movement, where people would, you know, they would retire and move back south. And so a lot of my family that had moved north, they've moved back. So it's kind of a crazy. I started a book, got halfway done with it, and then life about that second migration and how it changed the dynamics of the South and the North. And a part of the prosperity of the South today is because of that second migration. They didn't lose their heritage. They took their food with them. They took their sweet tea with them. And if you're in Taylor, Michigan, Wyandotte, Michigan, around Sibley Road, Rocco Road, just outside Detroit, about 12 miles away from the old Tiger Stadium, you will hear as many Southern accents as you do here. It is a strange, it's strange. And you'll find restaurants with real sweet tea and real biscuits and gravy and all that kind of stuff. Star of Interest said, I work in a steel mill that deals with coils of steel all the time. Yeah, sure. I remember seeing a lot of coils of steel in Detroit. Speaking of Detroit, at Detroit Steel, they have them stacked up, hundreds of them. It's kind of a cool thing. So, I don't know. I've got going back, all the way back, a flashback here to what we were talking about earlier. How fun would it have been if you're going to spoof a video? And again, the temptation, Toby, is real. Okay, I've talked to you about this 50 times probably. I got so froggy to like do something like that because just creativity, not even to be mean, but you know what? Like naming this video "Aliens on Mount Lacan." Nobody was probably, you're being stupid. It's clickbait, but not. It's actually me being just silly. But I called Nathan. It was like 10 o'clock at night. I was dead serious. And I said, hey, man, what are you doing? He said, oh, Pops, I'm sitting here and, I'm trying to get this done. I'm like, so you're awake for a while? He's like, yeah, I'm going to be awake. He was in a creative mood as well. I don't know if it was the barometric pressure. I don't know. And so, I don't know. And so in that moment, I said, you want to fake a UFO? I was dead. Listen, I was dead. I was so serious, but I needed a little motivation. I needed somebody to go with me. You know what I mean? Like, and Nathan, sometimes he's game, he's like, what are you going to do? And I gave him my plan. And he's like, that'll never work. I said, it doesn't have to work perfectly. It just has to work long enough to get a video. I was like, this is it. This is it. He's like, Dad, that'll ruin your channel. I'm like, I don't care. Let's go. Let's do it. Yeah, he talked me out of it. So he talked me off the ledge. If you guys ever see a UFO on my channel, it's probably fake. It's just telling you now. And what you guys need to do, those of you who are in here right now, if you see a YouTube, if I'm like, I'm seeing an A, because I'm going to be a good actor. Okay. I'm going to sell it. You have to help me. You have, because you're in on it. Just because you're hearing this live stream right now, that I'll take down. No, but all you have to do is like, you play along. Some of you can say, I was with him. I saw it. I was visiting with family. However, I was driving down Highway 111 here in Tennessee, and I saw it too. You get on Google Earth and, like we'll figure out how to coordinate, the eyewitness accounts. I don't even think you have to do anything to fake one. You just get a bunch of people to say they saw one. And you make a video with a map, Google Earth, you know how I do. And you get, like, let's say there's 7 people in here right now, and you get all of them to, to kind of weigh in on it. And they all do a little bit for your video, and you map it out where they saw it. And that's what the video is about, is why are UFO sightings in this area? Come on, people, people are going to watch that. That's $1 million. There's going to get 1 million views. Or Bill's kilt. I don't have a kilt, but Toby does. Toby does. But I don't know if you know the Strongs, but Toby had, oh my goodness, hold on. It's Billy McDaniel, folks.
All right, you got to start tagging some of these.
I know.
And untagging them.
It's not daylight, Billy, but it is behind me. It's green screen. Billy, you missed. I lost viewers because I shared the gospel earlier and lost viewers. But hey, welcome to the channel. Welcome back to the channel. Well, I love you, miss you so much. Billy would hike in a kilt. He loved the whole kilt thing. Even though you've changed your brand, which is what I was going to say earlier. You're now Toby the Adventurer. You've kind of dropped it. You still wear kilts, but you've kind of dropped that because your channel is more than just kilts. Matter of fact, kilts are just what you wear. It's not what the channel's about. And so it's kind of cool, new news. It's good to see you, Billy. Good to see you, my man. Ready to tackle more things. How do I get that down now? Oh yeah, there you go. Billy May said word. So it's funny. There's 3 Billies in here right now. That was always confusing when we were doing Vlogmas. It's still fun though. So yeah, Virginia would have been a great place too, because the population density through Shenandoah National Park is a lot higher than down here. And they see UFOs up there all the time. It's really the Air Force. It's really Norfolk, in their pattern, but they look like UFOs. But one drone could cause. One drone, you hang some Christmas lights on it in a unique way. Like, imagine this. You got a drone, doesn't even have to be that big, battery operated Christmas lights, and you just drop a strand straight down. You never see something like that. Like, how often would you see like a strand of colorful lights? Maybe they're blinking, maybe they're not. No, they're not blinking. No blinking. Maybe they fade in and out. No, you don't want it to look like an aircraft. I don't know. I don't have that worked out yet. I've got to talk to my creative team.
Do you remember that movie from the 80s, Batteries Not Included?
Yes, but how does that relate? Like,
these
connect the dots for
little
me.
drones, they were autonomous, and they were, I guess, they had conscious. But there was a scene in there where they ended up with the Christmas lights. So that's been done before.
I still think we could pull it off. Maybe the bulbs of the Christmas lights need to be funky colors that you don't normally see.
These were the old school Christmas lights that had
the big fat ones.
Big fat ones, yeah.
Okay. What about bubble lights? Just to change the way it would look at a distance. I don't know.
LED, the little threads.
As long as the color, you got to have funky colors. It can't just be red, blues, and greens. It's got to be funky, like chartreuse or something. A purplish. Aliens like purple. Come on.
Program it with some sort of artificial intelligence so that it can really scare people.
Ladies and gentlemen, to the channel, I'd like to interrupt and introduce you to the ultimate thinker of our time. Randall Boston is in the house. And Randall Boston is a dear friend, a fellow journey person on their, I don't know. I lost it right there. But he said he's good for, we've been friends since we were 12. I'm not going to give his real name, but if he were allowed in this moment to jump in and tell stories about me, I would probably hide for the rest of my life and never, because he knows just about everything there is to know. It's good to see you, by the way. He said, it's aliens flying the drones. Duh. I haven't heard that one yet. When the drone thing happened, like the drone, not me faking a UFO drone, because I was going to use hot air balloons, by the way. That's a whole different story, and it would work better than a drone. But it's more complicated. When they were doing the drone thing back around Christmas, you guys weigh in, please, because some of you guys are the smartest people I know. What was that? What was going on? Like, it seemed to me you just had, it was Christmas time. There's an uptick in traffic. Yeah, I mean, but they were making a big deal. Twitter, X, whatever. Man, you would have thought the world was ending because they were seeing what I think are helicopters, essentially. Just help me out. Tell me what it is. Junior Foreman says, case in point, just recently, all the drones flying around New Jersey, even the politicians fell for that one. That's what I'm saying. I didn't know what tell me what, you got anything?
I don't have any idea.
Like, I'm serious. Like, what was that all about? Was that just sensationalism? Was that just hurrah?
Probably just a bunch of kids having fun. Who knows? Drones are not expensive anymore.
There were thousands of them. Of course, I'm just giving you the report. Okay.
Yeah.
Look, it may not have been anything, and a lot of things that people were putting on X were airplanes. It's like, dude, that's an airplane. But allegedly there were thousands and thousands of these things everywhere. One news person, what they showed, it looked like Christmas lights, but this time across the sky, there were so many drones and going into the ocean, coming back. When we lived in Virginia, there was a lot of things in the news that was happening way off the coast. They're off Virginia Beach, 100 miles, where they were seeing lots of stuff. I'm convinced it's just our guys, our, I don't know, experimental branch of the military. And it's some type of, because obviously when something makes the news, it gets to our enemies. And it's a little game, fear game, like a type of chess game to say, hey, we've got stuff you don't have. And the rumors alone could influence. No, anybody? Somebody's got to help me with this. Nobody wants to weigh in. Use your imaginations, people. We can do better than this. Not saying that I have or have not done the drone flying with a Christmas light. I got to put this one up. Strong says, not saying that I've not done the drone flying with Christmas light a long time ago, but that was not me. That's what I wanted to do, a helium balloon. Like, you get one of those giant, and you fill it up with helium, and you just put, again, I'm going to use chartreuse light, purplish light, just this big, or maybe a little bigger, because it's got to put out enough to be seen. And up there at Jones Gap, Jones Gap, right? 111, Toby?
Yeah.
Okay. So you send it up on a cloudy night. I think you'd have to have a cloudy night so that, maybe not, I don't know, because you got to be able to pull this balloon down, because you don't want it causing a car wreck or something later, right? You have this one battery operated light just to get people in, and you're not on 111, you're on whatever road that is that goes towards whatever, Jones Gap Road, I think. So you're off of 111 and one of those cow pastures through there.
Mm-hmm.
But something up in the air could be seen on 111. So you just need one truck driver or two or three or five to start talking about it. And then it becomes chatter. There's CBs, cell phones, whatever. And for about 30 minutes, you've got track. It's got to be late, because you don't want average people will look into it. They'll be like, turn here. We got to find out what that is. You don't want that. because they're going to see you in a field with a balloon, and they're going to be like, "That's Winnie the Pooh. Look at him." You know what I'm saying? I don't, So you got the balloon in the air off of 111, and it's 3:00 in the morning, and only like drunks and truck drivers are out at 3:00 in the morning, and they are talking to each other, and they're getting everybody else like, "Dude, I just saw a UFO." Right? Come on, is this not a good idea? And it's just sitting there, just right there. That's an antenna. That's got to be just a no. It's not. It moved because the wind is blowing. Do you see the vision?
It's pretty strong. It could be tea lights, or it could be glow sticks. You don't have to do high budget there.
No, this thing is so cheap. I'm thinking $100, and that counts like the chicken wings I'm going to bring with me, and some Diet Coke and a cooler, maybe build a fire. I don't know. I mean, we're camping out. Maybe it's more than $100 because I'm gonna have a lot of fun with it. But it doesn't. My studio. We talked about this. What I'm using. It's so today. Other than this spillage right here, because I don't have a green screen, it's lit. It's lit well, and I'm using like this lamp stand fixture thing that at one time had been bolted into the bathroom or something that I found in the garage. That's my lighting for the studio. I mean, that's what I'm using, and it's working. But I think you could fake a UFO that and believable with that type of mentality of just using what you have, Toby, which should be the name of this video for real. Junior Foreman says, case in point, just recently, all the drones flying around. Wait a minute, he already got that one. But it did fool the politicians. People were screaming for Biden to do something right now. Tell us what it is. Tell us what it is. And then Trump stirred it because he does. Trump's funny. Trump is the greatest troll in history. He is the greatest troll. Just him saying, okay, can we get? I'm not getting political. I'm talking about a personality here right now. Okay, so calm down. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. Not for this. He said, just think about this for a minute because we're probably all in the same age group. He says, we need to make Canada the 51st state. Who does that? Who does that? And the sad part is how many people are like, oh, yeah, he's dead. I mean, it's like, because that is not his intent whatsoever. We don't want that. That's not a good idea, by the way, but just the audacity. It's not the Gulf of Mexico. It's the Gulf of America. Wow. It's just like troll, man. It's just crazy. But when Trump, it's right after the election, and you got all the whatever they are, drones, the drone story. And he said, well, they know what they are and they need to tell people. I mean, like, that is so loaded. You can take that any way you want to. The JFK files that just came out, which would have been a great topic. Unfortunately, there's nothing there.
I just put a picture of my low budget snowman from this winter. If you want to show them that. Like that legitimately creeped people out.
You know what? You could fake a UFO that way because it doesn't snow much here. And so we're not used to seeing that. So imagine that being in the field. It's a dark night. You might be able to get some people. Yeah.
See, it doesn't take a lot of money. It just takes a little imagination.
And again, we talked about this where you got into this, and it was such a good point that the problem with, I had to say this, I almost feel like I honor bound to say it, is I don't like delving too much into the UFO cult world where they get weird and Anunnaki and all this stuff. They get obsessed, and I don't want to dive into that realm. I really don't. And you also want to be, I have informative videos, and I take that seriously to the extent that I've had some conversations with some people about our channel becoming an education channel as opposed to an entertainment channel, which would be a huge jump. And it may not help my channel. It may be detrimental to the channel because a lot of our videos, that's the focus now. And you want to be taken seriously. And if you get caught faking a UFO, there goes your credibility. But the temptation is there, people. Billy McDaniel. Wait, did I miss?
Great for family entertainment.
Where are we at here? Case in point, and then I spent $4,000 on my drone 10 years ago that I can't use to make any video. I have waited. I remember I bought Nathan a drone. It was like $300 or something. And I think you had to put your phone in it. Like No, I don't remember. It was really cheesy though. Like I didn't, and it was so fragile. He was scared to fly. He wouldn't fly. He didn't want to break it. He's one of those. He wants it mint conditional. He collects and all that, and it was precious to him. He flew it later, but for I think a couple of years, he's like, no, man, it's too expensive. I don't, it was precious. But now, man, you can get for $300, you can get a drone that can pretty much fly, orbit or something. I mean, it's got crazy.
There was a rule, and I looked at drones about 3 years ago in the Tennessee state parks that you had to have rangers' permission.
Oh, usually it's just no.
And I would have to look that up again if I wanted to state that as a fact. But as you know, the entire Cumberland Trail is technically a state park.
Yeah.
Almost everywhere you go. Some places are not, but that's really limiting if that is still the case. And I think drones, especially at the current price point in 4K, would really add to the channel. But I'm not going to go sideways with the regulation or the law when I know that I'm doing so.
Okay, but first of all, it's your airspace, not theirs. Number one. I'm not trying to be anti-government. I'm just pro-freedom. I'm stirring the pot, I guess, but I'm just giving an alternate point. That's not all laws are ethical and for you, and this is a government for the people and by the people. Okay, but we have arguments, counter arguments there. We won't go there. So let's say you want to record the Blue Ridge Parkway. You're not supposed to film anywhere in a national park unless you have permission, and they actually have a fee for that, and it's a lot.
Wow.
The fee to do, you can get a license. You can do it in Great Smoky Mountain National Park, and we looked into it. Carol and I were very serious about that for the first, I don't know, a few months we were back here. Like, let's go this route because some of the shots you get are just amazing. Not to mention just they'll follow your car now. You can program them. So
they'll follow you hiking on a trail.
Exactly. And Billy McDaniel will tell you, when we were hiking in West Virginia, the Chimney in West Virginia, one of my favorite hikes. And Toby, we're talking about how LeConte was awesome. And I was trying to rank hikes, and that was the one I kept talking about. That one and Old Rag or whatever that one was called in Richie. Those are all in LeConte. Those are my top three right there. And Billy will tell you a drone would have made the shots there unbelievable. You could have probably got by with that in West Virginia. I don't know the statutes there. I really don't. And I don't think anybody paid attention. It just wasn't enforced. You got to enforce the law. But if you're on the Appalachian Trail, on the Blue Ridge Parkway, you can be off government land in regular public airspace, and you're shooting beside it. You don't have to be. And that's how people have found ways. There's a great up-and-coming YouTube channel. It's young people. I'm an old man to these guys. These guys are like 20-something years old, and they're full of energy. And their LeConte video came out a few months before yours or mine. Great video. And they flew a drone all over the Smokies right there, which is, unless they got a license, and it's possible they did, it's illegal. So maybe they didn't, and they said, don't care. And they did it anyway.
Yeah.
Carol and I,
on the internet for everybody to see it,
and they're like, whatever. I can't tell you how many times that I've been to the Smokies or Shenandoah National Park, and there are drones everywhere. And I'm not convinced that many people would go through the process of getting the special permission. Billy McDaniel said, "President Troll." He is, man. This is a great look. If you're worried about the country, I already said it earlier, you're putting your faith in the wrong thing. And it's, bad idea. Bad idea. Countries, nations, they come and go. If you can't sit back and laugh at this, you just don't have a sense of humor. Go to Twitter, and instead of getting mad, if you just pretend it's a sketch on Saturday Night Live, you will laugh. You'll laugh hysterically. It's funny. And that's what I've been doing for the past several months, is just enjoying the silliness of it all. What's his name? Buttigieg or whatever. They had a national security meeting or something yesterday, and they accidentally added a journalist. Do you guys know about this?
Yes. Put our war plans on a group text or something with an unapproved app.
And as Billy McDaniel said earlier, hilarious. Like, that's something I would do, people. That's something I would do. I'm the guy that happens to. Okay. Like, every time I send an email, I am so paranoid, especially with Outlook, because Outlook is awful. But I will. It's awful. It is the lowest tier of garbage on the internet. That's how I feel about it. But that's what everybody uses. But accidents happen without Outlook. Reply alls.
Autofill.
Yes, or a group text. Stacy Cope, pastor up in Virginia, and I were we were being silly and said something that we probably shouldn't even been saying just between us, but we belong to a peer group of pastors, and we accidentally included them, the whole peer group, into it. Was hilarious, but it happens. Billy McDaniel says, great for family entertainment. Yeah, if the kids are over 12, right? There's Randall Boston says, it's already part of North America. Complete the empire. That's something that I'll say this, and I've said it before. I'm joking, halfway joking when I say this, that America, maybe 10, 15 years ago, was at a point, if you follow historical trends of nation and empires, where we were supposed to go ahead and conquer Central and South America. Like seriously, like that would have been the next step to perpetuate our imperial ambitions. And we did that with an informal empire, which was the CIA going into Central and South America and toppling governments. And you guys know that. It's not even conspiracy now. It's in history books. We wanted to go that route because we thought it wasn't as messy. But I've said it many times that if you go the way of Rome, you get 700 years. Okay, you get a long life, but you got to go to war all the time. Mm-hmm. And so I looked at it. I don't know. It may have been with Randall. We might have been hanging out in Athens or something, and I went on this rant with Ian Himba, another friend of mine, and that was what we were talking about. Is I'm like, look, we're supposed to take over the world now. It starts in Panama. I was like, we got to take the tanks. We take armor divisions, and we get down there. It is a big FAA rule, and Strong's, I'm assuming you're talking about national parks and flying over national parks.
Yeah, I was looking at Tennessee, and it talks about it's protecting wildlife and the natural environment, and then FAA, as he mentioned as well.
I'll tell you this: I've been deer hunting before, and in a blind. This is right after I broke my leg, and this drone stayed over top of me for the whole morning, and I wanted to shoot it so bad. And I kept remembering they're allowed to do that. Like if you're not on, the airspace is public. If you're flying over so many 100 feet, so I could not stop him. And if I shot it down, that's destroying his property. Do you see the dilemma there? So I have mixed opinions about all this stuff, and I joke around with you guys, but the truth is I don't have a definitive answer for some of that. Billy McDaniel says great for family entertainment. Then Strong talked about the FAA rule. Junior, you've said something here that's blown my mind. Junior says the Mothman hoax. Now he's referring to, I don't remember the full, but it's the Mothman over in West Virginia, I guess. Ohio, West Virginia. You're going to have to remind me of that area. Carolyn and I accidentally went into that area one day. It was in what? I'm pretty sure it's West Virginia.
Point Pleasant, West Virginia.
Yeah. And there's some, listen, there were monuments to aliens because the Mothman and these other sightings happened all at the same time. They have a giant, like you would have a monument to a Civil War general or something, but this was to an alien that allegedly landed. But you're saying that the Mothman was a hoax because someone who was involved from the very beginning. You are the first person that I've met that I feel like I know to whatever level, that has claimed, because Toby, you and I have a common friend that says that was, well, I won't go into details, but he goes to church with us, and but he was from that area and believed with everything inside of him that was some kind of demonic deal or whatever. So that you're the first person I've ever heard say that.
There is a theory, allthingsinteresting.com. I have no idea what website that is. That it involved pranks such as costumes, helium balloons, and red lights. So that's similar.
Wait a minute, that's my idea. They can't have that idea.
No, you stole theirs.
Man, I see.
Nothing new under the sun.
Billy talked about Old Rag being, that it was awesome. Billy, again, great. That would have been great for a drone shot. That was one of the most unique hikes in general. Toby, you would have blown your mind because you had to scramble But once you got there, it looked staged. It looked like God said, okay, this is going to be for hiking. I'm going to build this and I'm going to do this, because it was the ultimate. When you got to the top, there's nothing like it. I mean, round, smooth rocks everywhere, very smooth. You're looking across into you're in Shenandoah National Park right there, but you're looking over a wilderness area and you can see Skyline Drive on the other mountain. I'm talking gorgeous. However, it was crowded. And like, you're never going to go there when it's open. I think we had to pay to do it too. It was like $10 a person, $7 or something. But Toby, you'd have loved this. But you did. There was this little stretch at the end because Billy bushwhacked to get us to the top. We had done something where we didn't get to the. I don't know, but he found an opening, and we spider monkey bushwhacked to get up to the top, which is what we probably, if it had been different weather, we probably could have done that on LeConte. Right there where we stopped, we could have probably just scooted up. You know, there were plenty of places I saw along the way where people were doing that at some time. Going on down, family entertainment, Mothman hoax. Strong says, we are talking about how big the hills are around. We are still talking about how big the hills are around you. I'm assuming you're talking about.
We don't have mountains in East Tennessee. We have hills, I think.
Okay. Wait a minute.
Is that the nature of that?
Yeah, and it hurts my feelings. Listen.
Yeah, it's true though.
No, it's no. A mountain is like classified at 2,500 feet or something. Look it up. Somebody tell me what it is. I don't know. Jamie?
I will tell you, when I did that hike Saturday, we only added 1,400 feet elevation, but my hamstrings and glutes and calves, they felt like it was a mountain. They would disagree with that comment.
Well, what peak baggers would say, and Toby, you and I are familiar with peak baggers and the slang that we use when we're not on camera to describe peak bagging, that none of our mountains down here are truly significant. And that's the word they use, significant, unless it's an isolated peak. And to that, I say pish posh. I say nonsense.
Beautiful, Bill.
Yes, they are, especially
small ones,
especially our mountains. Our mountains are better. Listen,
the round ones, the jagged ones.
Are you describing mountains still?
They're just, God created them all, and he called it good.
Yes, Lord. Yes, he did.
There's always going to be somebody that enjoys climbing those mountains. I enjoy the mountains.
I'll say this. The New England is awesome. And I get it. I really do. I like picking on them and stuff because they pick on us. You know, they pick on East Tennessee mountains, and there's none of us are looking at Colorado. Okay. None of us are and going, our mountains are as big as that. We're not doing that. Like, come on. But peak baggers up there in the Northeast, they will make comments about how their mountains are more this and Providence or whatever. And you're going, stop. You're embarrassing yourself. Don't do that. But I will say this, their culture and work ethic when it comes to mountaineering kind of blows ours away. They would have never gone to LeConte without spikes, Toby.
Yeah.
They're not going to do that, Sure. Let me get a couple more comments in here. As long as you don't use your drone to make money, it's all good. But why, but that's the whole point. That would be the whole point. Randall Boston says, my new red trucker hat, make Canada great finally.
Lord.
Guys, Canada is actually awesome. This is what's so sad about all of this. I don't think anybody's taking it seriously. I think it's something that really.
What about Greenland?
No, really, we need to conquer Greenland. Listen, there's a reason why you guys understand why, right? I would love to hear feedback on, there's a reason why Greenland is important. And it has to do with strategic defense and things like that. The world is rolling back to an isolationist mentality. The global order has been toppled and it's not coming back. So you've got to ensure your trade routes again, like you did back in the day. Which that's the way the world's worked and it's really no big deal. The world has worked that way for the majority of the time of humanity. So, but we had this moment in time for 50 years, thereabouts, after World War II, where the U.S., everybody owed us money, and we won. We are the champions. And we told the European powers this, don't worry about it. we're going to ensure your safety against Russia because we're going to keep all of the sea lanes. We're going to prove capitalism is superior because it is, and we're going to keep the sea lanes safe. And so because we had this huge armada. And so we did that, but we have learned we can't afford to do that any longer. So we're having to change our mentality. So yeah, Greenland becomes important, and it's cool. That's one of my bucket list places to visit, by the way. It's a very interesting place. Their people are smart, hardworking, and
I would rather go to Iceland, wouldn't you?
I want to go to both, but Greenland fascinates me. Okay. Like I saw a storm the other day on YouTube channel, and it was the scariest snowstorm I've ever seen in my life. Like, oh my gosh. It just looks like a real, it looks like a new frontier to me. I know my imagination is probably getting carried away.
You enjoy your blizzards and I'll enjoy my waterfalls. That's fair.
Yeah. They got waterfalls too, coming off the glaciers and stuff. It's really cool. As long as you don't, yes, do not ever shoot a drone. Do not ever shoot a drone down. It's like firing
especially
on
with
an
a bow
airplane.
and arrow.
Well, and that's the thing. When I would come out of the blind and look up, he was taunting me. Whoever it was, I don't know what happened. This guy's it's probably a kid. I don't know, but he would go up high because I think he knew I'm going to shoot this. I would have at first. So I was using a crossbow at the time. So I'm looking up and I'm like, I don't know if I can make that shot, but boy, it'd be cool.
What if you had a drone of your own and you did like a dogfight?
Okay, that might be better than faking a UFO. I'm just like, you got little BB guns on the side of the drone. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Oh yeah, that'd be cool. Hey, bye, Billy McDaniel. We love you, man. God bless you too, and good night.
Yeah, he's got the right idea.
Yeah, it is time, and I have so enjoyed this. This has been great, Toby. I appreciate you coming over to our channel.
Yeah, well, thanks for doing a couple hours on my channel, Bill. It's fun.
It's just been so fun that we should do this all the time.
We should do this much more often.
Well, here's the thing. Consistency is how live stream works. And that's the hardest part of this. So there's a drudgery that would come with it, right? Because you'd have to stay consistent. You know, what is it? You know, Tuesday Night Live, whatever you call it, you have to be consistent with it or it doesn't work. You know, so the occasional live stream, it's fun because you get to reconnect with people and stuff, but the conversation is great. I appreciate
you. A great night for me. So let's try to think about making that happen.
You know my world, and I don't know from one week to the next what my Tuesday's gonna look like. Hey man, but I appreciate you. This is great. I so loved hiking Mount LeConte. It's a great time with a very honorable person with such great character. Strong's always good to see you. I could go through here and just tell everybody I appreciate him, but I will catch you on the next time.
Bye, Bill.
See you Wednesday.